Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're good. Right, give me literally 60 seconds and I should. Yes. Hope you're well. If you are on live, whether you're on live or you're on the replay, I hope you're good. This is part 2 of the destabilization of a dream. We're going to be talking about death threats. So, good morning, good morning, good morning. If you are on Facebook Live, good morning. You're going to have to bear with me, as I've said over the past, well, I've only used this 3 times, this particular platform. As I get used to it, I can't respond to the messages, but I will do after the stream. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being on live. If you are on YouTube, thank you for joining me. Okay, it is Wednesday, the 5th of October, 2022. I know that some of you who do stuff like this will believe me, but I can't actually believe that I came. I'm in one of my spaces that I work in, and I came here and I left my notebook. But thank God I have my piece of paper that I journal on, that I write my notes on. So I have what I need with me. Thank you for joining me. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Karen Allen, and it is my privilege to serve in this way. I am on the 1st of October. I shared some thoughts around a subject that I was looking into called the destabilization of a dream. Now, this came about because of a book that I read last week. I read the book twice, and the book is called U Squared by a man named Price Pritchard. From what I can remember, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but if you Google, the book's definitely called U Squared. Phenomenal book. And there was a concept that came up in the book called destabilization. And when I read the definition, it talked about being unstable, not being able to operate in the usual manner, and not being able to do things the way you normally do because you're going through this process. And it was an aha moment for me because I realized that this is what I was going through. I, right now, am going through a destabilization process. And again, for those of you who are jumping on for the first time, I've been doing my life in 90-day increments, something that I started in 2021, and I found it to be quite effective. So I'm continuing it until otherwise. And the last 90-day increment that I did, I called Dare to Dream for 90 days. And throughout that time, as I've been pursuing certain things, working on some new content and having some opportunities open for me, I realized that I was going through this destabilization. And one of the things the book talks about is when you are going through destabilization, it brings up stuff in you. It makes you feel confused. It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel like you're failing at stuff that you're normally just, you do with your eyes closed. And all of this was happening to me. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. So I realized that whenever you embark upon a dream, you will go through a process of destabilization. So the feedback has been quite intriguing for me. And I realized that I really want to explore this concept even more. And I thought, why not explore it with my Facebook family and my YouTube family? So today, and I talked about, a cycle. So if you haven't watched it, you should go back and watch the first session that I did, which is just called the destabilization of a dream. This is part 2. And today I'm going to be talking about death threats, things that threaten your dream. Okay. Because I talked about how your dream will go through like a cycle. So you'll have a dream, then your dream will be threatened. And then, so it will be a dream, make notes as I do this. So it'll be, you have a dream, then your dream will be threatened, then you'll be thrown into a dark place, then you'll go through a displacement. In that place of being displaced, you'll go through a season of disillusionment, and then you'll have to make a decision, and then you will be delivered, and then you will see the manifestation of your dream. So it's like a full cycle. And I use the story of Joseph in the Bible. For those of you who don't know, I love the Bible, and it is my foundation upon which I stand. And the story of Joseph in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, talks about this cycle where he had a dream, then he disclosed his dreams to his brothers, then his brothers threatened to kill him, which is where the death threat came in, and then he was thrown into a dark place, he was thrown into a pit, and then he was sold into Potiphar's house, which means that he was displaced. He was not where he normally was. He was left his hometown, his place of safety, and he was now in a strange place, which I call displacement. And in that displacement place, he was very disillusioned, because then he was falsely accused, and he ended up being thrown into jail. But it was while he was in jail that he had to make some decisions. And it was the decisions that he made while he was in the place of disillusionment that ultimately got him delivered. And then he saw the manifestation of his dream. So this cycle, which I've identified, I can easily apply it to my life, and I'm sure that you could easily apply it to yours. But I specifically want to talk today about death threats. And I want to highlight 5 things that could have the potential to threaten the fulfillment of your dream. Now, your dream, you can replace the word dream with goal, with vision, with idea, with mission, whatever you want. I love the word dream because I'm a dreamer. So what is your goal? What is your mission? What is your great idea? What is your God idea? What is the thing that you believe you should be doing, whether it be right now or within your life? What is your purpose? What is the plan of God for your life? Whatever that is, whatever that looks like, it will go through a season of destabilization where you start to question. You're like, am I good enough? Am I bold enough? Am I courageous enough? Am I smart enough? You'll have all of these questions. And I was saying last week that for me, in the past three months, the 90 days, what really came to the forefront were my insecurities and my inabilities and my feeling like I'm incapable of doing the thing that I know I'm called to do. And it's been the weirdest, craziest season for me. But I don't know what that looks like for you, but I do know, one thing I do know for sure, I can put money on it, is that your dream will be threatened. There will be something or someone that will come along and threaten to kill your dream, threaten to annihilate it. All right. Every single one of us will have a death threat over our dreams. And I want to talk about 5 things that I have personally, again, identified and experienced. In my case, I've experienced all 5. You may or may not have experienced all 5. You may have heard about other people who have. But these things, if you can identify them as threats against your dream, then you are more than likely to be able to overcome them. Because one of the things I talked about again last week, please watch it, this destabilization of the dream, is that it's like a 2-sided coin. On one side of the coin, you have all of this death threats and displacement and disillusionment. But on the other side, you know that there is the fulfillment of your dream. And it's just a matter of being able to get through all of that stuff to see the manifestation of what was already planted in your heart, planted in your mind, planted in your spirit, planted in your destiny, what God has already destined for you. So let's quickly dive into this. But my plan is only to do this for 30 minutes. It's just food for thought. It's not a Bible study. It's not me trying to exegete the text and all of that stuff. It's just food for thought in terms of things that will come along to threaten your dreams so that you can identify them and realize, oh, this is a threat. Oh, I see where you're going with this. And then you can do what needs to be done. Do you know what I mean? Who's taking threats lightly? I went to see Woman King last night. It was just like, So 5 things that will come along to threaten your dream. Number 1, for those of you who are taking notes, and I'm going to refer to the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis as an example. Number 1 is discouragement. It is highly, highly, highly likely that in pursuit of your dream, you are going to go through a season of discouragement where you look around you and you're like, boy, where's the money? Where's the support? Where's the help? Where's the people? Where am I going to get what I need in order to do what I need to do? And it's going to be, you're going to have to fight against those feelings of discouragement, because discouragement is a threat against the fulfillment of your dreams. And Joseph, when he told his brothers his dream, their first response was what? We're going to bow to you. In other words, who do you think you are? Someone is going to question who you think you are when you decide to pursue your dream. Someone's going to question your qualifications. They're going to question your background. They're going to question your knowledge. They're going to question all kinds of things when it comes to you fulfilling your dream. But you have to know that this thing, this goal, this mission, this passion is worth fighting for. And regardless of the threats, you've got to be prepared to push through the disappointment, the discouragement, I should say, and still reach for that which you believe is yours. The second thing that will come to threaten your dreams. So discouragement is the first. The second thing is disappointment. Have you ever tried something and it didn't work out the way you planned? I'm sure you have, as I have. Whew. Discouragement can be a killer of dreams on so many levels, because there are many, many people who feel like their life is in a vicious circle, Groundhog Day. Like, I've tried that before. I've done this before. I've been there before. I've pressed before. I've spoken out before. And because it didn't end up the way that you planned or the way that you envisaged, you're now in a place of discouragement. And a lot of people have given up on their dreams because of discouragement. A lot of people have given up on their goals because they feel like all the effort that they've put in is not worth it. All the, you love on people and they betray you. You support people and they ain't got your back. Whatever that looks like for you, you got to realize that it's a threat against your dreams. The discouragement, the disappointment is a threat against you actually seeing the manifestation of your dream. But you've got to identify it and not sit in it. So I remember, personal story, when I was pregnant with my third son, Alex, I remember that was the first time that I can say I actually acknowledged being depressed and thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to raise 3 kids under the age of 4? Like, how? I was married at the time, had a very supportive family, phenomenal, always had a phenomenal village. But in my mind, I was not cut out to be a mother of 3, much less the fact I've got 5 now. And I was so discouraged and so disappointed just in myself. I felt like I messed up a plan that I had in my mind. The way that I saw life going, now that I was going to have 3 kids, and I went into a spiral of depression, which leads me into the third word. The third thing that will try and kill your dream, is a death threat against your dream, is devastation. And devastation can show up in many forms. In depression, like I'm saying, divorce. I've experienced divorce. It can be debt. Some people are so overwhelmed by debt that they've given up on their dreams. And during that time, I realized that I really had a choice, and I had to choose real quick to fight for that which I still believe in. And you know what was funny about that story is that at the time, I literally, around that exact time, I launched a ministry called Dare to Dream. I don't know why I just called it a ministry. I've been too churched. I launched an event called Dare to Dream, and it was all about inspiring and empowering women to dream despite their circumstances. And I did that for 7 years. Every year for 7 years, International Women's Month, I held this amazing, life-changing event called Dare to Dream. But it was on the back of devastation. It was on the back of me being in such a depressed state that I had to, in that moment, find what was worth fighting for. And when you're going through a season or a situation that is come to threaten the manifestation of your dream, you've got to find a reason to fight. You've got to find a reason to press forward. You've got to find a reason to push through. You've got to find a reason, often outside of yourself, to do that which everything around you is telling you not to bother doing. And I'm saying that because, again, death threats are going to come. They're going to come, and they'll come in many different guises and many different stages. But you've got to find a reason to fight for that which you believe in, right? So we've got discouragement, we've got disappointment, we've got devastation. The fourth thing that will come to threaten your dream is derailment. Everybody say derailment. Non-negotiably, okay, especially if you're a big dreamer like me, like I'm a ridiculous dreamer, ridiculous. I admit it, yeah. My name is Karen Allen, and I am a ridiculous dreamer. I dream ridiculously, foolishly most times. But something or someone will come along and threaten your dream by derailing it or derailing you, getting you off of the beaten track. Something will happen. No doubt, especially as you pursue bigger dreams and want to expand into greater territories, something will happen, whether it be sickness, whether it be bankruptcy, whether it be, in my case, definitely it was divorce. Something will happen that will so knock you for six that in your mind, your first response will be, surely I ain't going to make it out of this. Surely I ain't going to come over this. Surely I'm not going to come through this. Because it's a death threat. It's a death threat. It's a threat against your dream, because one thing the enemy does not want is for you and I to fulfill the dream that God has placed in our heart. He don't want that. He didn't want Joseph to ever get in a position where he was actually the head and not the tail. So he set it up so that Joseph was discouraged, so that he was disappointed, so that he was devastated, so that he was derailed. So when Joseph found himself in Potiphar's house, he was like, what? This wasn't the plan. This is not what I saw. And I don't know if you've ever been, and if not, and you're a dreamer, you're going to get there, in a situation where you're looking at your life and you're like, I do this often. I still do it now, briefly. I'm like, this is not my life. This life that I'm living now, this is not the life. The life that I have in my head does not look like this. And derailment can get you off the beaten path. I'll never forget, right, when I just had Annabelle, and it was one of the darkest seasons in my life, the darkest seasons in my life. And I remember listening to Bishop Jakes one day, and he said, you have to let go of what you had in mind. And it was a revolutionary statement, because when you're derailed, it means that you're no longer on the path that you were convinced was the path. Like, I was married and it was till death do us part. This is the path I'm going down. I'm going to raise these kids, going to be married, we're going to do ministry, and then divorce happens. Derailed. It's like, what am I going to do now? How is my life going to look now? How am I going to get over this? How am I going to get through this? That's what derailment does. And it makes you look at your life in such a way that you think to yourself, okay, how am I going to get back on track? And oftentimes you won't ever get back on that track. But what I've lived to see is that God will take all things and work it together for his good. And he will literally, it was almost like God carves out a new track. Because even though derailment will threaten the dream, nothing comes as a surprise to God. And although it may not have worked out the way you planned, God didn't take his eye off of the plan. God didn't take his eye off the plan, which is great news. So, discouragement, disappointment, devastation, derailment. These are all things that will come, can come, are more than likely to come to threaten your dream. And the fifth thing that can come, may come, more than likely to come, is death. Now, most people see death as an end, as a full stop. And this can be death metaphorically or death literally. And one of the blows that the enemy throws is almost like he waits and he waits and he waits and he waits. And then the final punch is like, yes. And it's maybe the death of a loved one. It may be the death of a business that you put all of your finances in and all of your energies in. It may be, I don't know what that death looks like to you, but death is a death threat to your dream. And many people know my story. When my baby brother died, this was after the depression, after the divorce, after the discouragement, when all of those blows were coming. And then I was like, yeah, okay. Slowly, every time, slowly picking myself back up, slowly saying, no, I'm still going to go for this. And then when the enemy came with the death, literally the death blow, that was a moment where I had to dig the deepest. Because death, unlike what most people think, is not an end, especially for believers. Death is not the end. And it only becomes the end if you decide that it's the end. Because the Bible says it this way, that except a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it abides alone. But if it dies, like even, and to me, what that meant for me when my baby brother died was, if I allow God to do in this painful situation what only God can do, fruit will come out of this. The Bible says, if it dies, it will bring forth fruit. And sometimes death, a lot of people stop at death. So they've lost a child, they stop. They lost a spouse, they stopped. They've lost a parent, they stopped. They've lost a sibling, they stopped. They've lost a best friend, they stopped. Because to them, life, that was life. And life without that cannot go on. But what I've learned as someone who has experienced death of a loved one, when I did have those thoughts initially, that surely there can be no life after this. When I allowed God, and I don't know how people do it without God, so I can only talk about my experience. When I allowed God to do what he was going to do anyway, through me and through this really dark process, then I saw fruit. And I continue to see fruit. Because although death will come to threaten your dream, death is not the end of your dream, and only becomes the end of your dream if you allow it to be. So let me review. 5 things that will come to threaten your dream. And these things will literally come. And what they're saying with their chest is, you ain't never going to see that dream. This is what these things are saying. I want you to see them like 5 gang members, coming up to your ends and saying to you, yo, hear what I'm saying to you, innit? You see that dream you got? Forget that. That's never going to be a thing. And these things will come to be in your face: discouragement, disappointment, devastation, derailment, and death. They will come in your face to tell you you will never, ever see the manifestation of your dream. And what I am coming to tell you is this: no one gets to decide but you. Your dream has to be worth fighting for from your perspective. You are the only person who can fight for your dream. Ultimately, not your spouse, not your kids, not your friends, not your family, not your church members. Only you can fight for your dream. And your dream is worth fighting for. Do you understand me? Like me, I don't take lightly to threats in it, personally. Like if you threaten me, we're gonna have to go all the way there. And I am blood washed. Yeah, I don't threaten me. Don't do that. Because I'm gonna have to prove you wrong. And that's the attitude that some of us need to have towards our dreams. Like, the discouragement, don't come for me. Disappointment, do not come for me, okay? Because I'm going to see the manifestation of what God has promised in my life. And for those of us who do believe God, we have the added extra edge to know that the end is already, the end is done. We're already done. And for those who don't know God, I encourage you to know him, because he is a secret weapon, okay? Our dreams are worth fighting for. And although I am going through this destabilization right now, as I pursue some really huge dreams, it is rocky, and I am experiencing discouragement and disappointment on many levels. And I've been through the devastation and the derailment has happened, and I've experienced death. I am still fighting for my dreams, because I believe with everything in me that my dreams are worth fighting for. So today, on this day, I want to encourage you. If you have put your dream on the shelf, go get it off. If you have put your dream under your bed in a box somewhere, go pull it out. If you have buried your dream, go and dig it up. Because it ain't over till God says it's over. And whatever it looks like, your dream, your goal, your mission, your vision, your passion, your purpose, whatever you want to frame it as, whatever that looks like, you still have got what it takes to manifest that dream and live it in such a exponential way that not only will you benefit from it, but so will your children and your children's children. Those are my encouragement for the next 4 weeks. I will be live on Facebook and YouTube because one of my intentional goals for this last quarter of the year, for the next 90 days, which I have called Live the Dream, by the way. So just to give you some context, so these 90 days, which started on the 1st of October, I've called Live the Dream. And I'm using the word live as an acronym, that I will, over the next 90 days, be more loving, be more intentional, be more vulnerable, and be more expectant. That's what the live is. Loving, intentional, vulnerable, and expectant, because I want to and am fully expecting to see my dreams manifest in my lifetime. So I'm doing this over the next 90 days. And as part of that, one of my intentional goals is to be on YouTube at least once a week with content. So I'm using this process that I'm going through of destabilization and just really just sharing the journey with you. So I'll be here every Wednesday at 11 throughout the month of October, unless something comes up, at which point I'll put a notification. If you haven't jumped onto my YouTube channel, it is I Am Karen Allen on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and share, and all that jazz. And I will see you next week, Wednesday, here live at 11 a.m. Or you can watch the replay. For those of you who are watching the replay, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. You can watch the replay on my YouTube channel, and do share the love and spread the word, all right? Be blessed, be a blessing, love on the ones you love, and say a prayer for your enemies. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.